everyone. I'm glad to see each participant of today's section. So my name is Sergey Korotkikh. I'm the moderator of section which is called On the Hot Tin Roof, Digital and Other Changes. So I think that we will have 5 minutes to welcome everybody who is connecting to our section. And to start with, I would like to call you to open up your cameras, to connect with cameras so we could see each other, we could wave hand to each other. Yes, thanks, Nikolai. So everybody, please also join with cameras. So we might, pretend that we are sitting in a very big room together and discuss very important topic, because changes are something what is how to say, following people from ancient times to the recent years, and it's important to understand how those changes affect us nowadays. So I see that we have already 12 participants, and I guess that we could start with introduction. So my name is Sergey Korotkikh. I'm the moderator of today's section. I previously was the manager of CDTO programs in RANEPA. And nowadays I'm an expert and moderator of different forums and sections where people discuss strategic questions. Also, I'm like an advisor for CEOs of the companies, for founders, and for some kind of government authorities. And also we have a very well-known, I guess, expert in our section, Emil Martirosyan, who is associate professor of Institute of Business Studies, RANEPA. So Emil, we welcome you. And if you would like to start with some kind of, opening speech, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Sergey. So sorry for my picture behind. I'm in the business trip, and actually I have no possibility to be in the stable office and internet. So I would just join you with video on the questions and answer sessions. So I'm welcoming you and me as well to your presentation sessions. And as that could be the value for the sharing the opinion and enrichment through sharing. So that won't be correct and incorrect presentations. That would be the presentations based on your impact, on your feelings, on your understandings, and the future perspective outlines. So that would be, I think, very useful and very important to do it today as the big changes are happening. And I hope that this session would be fruitful for all of us. So wishing you a success and good luck.
Thanks a lot, Emil. So we will be glad to hear your expert feedback on the projects which our students would like to provide today. And to start with, I would like to emphasize how our section will be held today. So firstly, we will start with presentations, which some of you have already provided to me, and I have seen what is material. It's very interesting. So I welcome everybody to see and provide some feedback on what people would like to share. And after that, we will go to a discussion. We will discuss where are we today, what changes are laying behind us, and what will be in the future. And then we will try to understand how we could, go through that gap from point A to point B and find which skills, which technologies, or which mindset we need to develop in order to get to our goal, to the point B where we would like to be. So For the first part of our discussion, we will see presentations which students will share with the sharing function in Zoom. And for each presentation, we have 5-7 minutes because we have a lot of presentations. And after each presentation, we'll have from 3 to maybe 5 minutes maximum to Q&A section for feedback. And after that, we will go to the mirror room where we will be working in interactive workspace and share our ideas on the future, which we would like to discuss. So I especially didn't try to make an order of the presentation, so you could choose who would be the first one. So who would like to be the first? Just raise your hand in Zoom, and I will provide the whole field for you to share your ideas. So who would like to be the first one? Okay, Nikolai, thanks. So check whether you could share your screen, and if it's okay, so you could start. I will
a second.
Keep our time.
Okay, tell me if you see the presentation.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Okay, that's great. Hello, everyone. My name is Nikolai Sokolov. I'm a third-year student of IBS RANEPA, and today I want to talk with you about transhumanism as a possible future for humanity. So, what's on the agenda today? First of all, I'll tell you about the research I've conducted, how I conducted it, and then I'll tell you about the findings. So it will be what is transhumanism, how do they view the future, and study some cases which can outline some potential problems with their worldview. Well, let's begin with my research. So the aim was to research transhumanism, see how it functions, what is their view of the future. And my research is heavily based on transhumanist literature because this is the best way to outline their beliefs and see their view of the future. Also, this is a great way to see potential problems with their worldview, and through case study and literature review, I can see some of the specific implications of this worldview. So let's begin. Well, transhumanism can be traced back as far as 1927. Later, it was formalized by Max Moore, one of the pioneers of modern transhumanism. And he defined it as a class of philosophies of life that seeks the continuation and acceleration of the evolution of intelligent life beyond its currently human form. This is done by means of science and technology, guided by life-promoting principles and values. I'll provide a slightly more modern and relevant definition. You can see it on the screen. Basically, transhumanism is the study of implications, promises, dangers, and technologies that will enable us to overcome our limitations. And it also studies the ethical matters involved with such technologies. In this worldview, a transhuman is a biotechnological organism, a transformation of the human species that continues to evolve with technology. So why do I give these definitions? Because through them, we can kind of see how transhumanists see our future. Because transhumanism is sometimes defined as a worldview that seeks a quality of life that brings about progress, self-transformation, optimism, critical thinking, and it will help humans transcend their current state, and they'll become through it far more superior than they are. How will we do it? Well, there are different methods. First of all, it can be implants or prosthetics, like maybe robotic arms you can see on the picture. But it can go as far as actually nano-engineering our bodies or uploading our mind into a computer network. These technologies should help us overcome aging, eradicate disease, support existing ecosystems. With such advanced technologies, every person, no matter their race, religion, gender, without discrimination, they'll have an opportunity to be impactful in the world. And in this world, a lot of our shortcomings will be fixed by technology. So if your body cannot do something, there will be a gadget to help you out. But now this begs the question, will such technology benefit only the rich and the powerful? And how can we be sure that transhumanism actually solves the social divide instead of worsening it? Well, even according to transhumanists, social divide may worsen due to these technologies. They say that because the technologies will be expensive, only the elites will be able to afford them. And since these technologies enhance your capabilities as a human, these same elites can accumulate even more wealth because they'll be just better than other humans, which will further increase social inequalities. But they give two arguments why it won't happen. Because, first of all, there is the gradual reduction of the prices. So in time, everybody can use the new tech and become better, become transhuman. Also, they say that the quality of life has actually been steadily increasing. And right now, an average citizen like you or me lives far better than, let's say, a king in the Middle Ages. And this is all largely due to technological progress. And according to them, this same perpetual progress will improve our living standards further and help alleviate this divide. Now, this explanation has some valid points, and it should be noted that it's very hard to predict 100 years into the future, especially with the current events and all the black swans around us. But the question really is, if you look at it from a perspective of a modern enterprise and modern practices, do these technologies and do these principles actually hold up? Well, let's start with the case of Phoebus cartel. This was a cartel of incandescent light bulb producers in the 1920s. Let's talk about the history a little bit, because in the 1920s, there were a lot of incandescent light bulbs, which are like the normal, usual light bulbs we probably all know. And an average light bulb would serve from 1500 to 2000 hours, and this number was only increasing. But if a light bulb lasts longer, fewer people will actually buy new light bulbs. And this means less profit for the manufacturers, which is why in 1924, the Phoebus cartel was created. And a lot of major light bulb manufacturers actually were at the helm. As you can see, there was Osram, there was Philips, there was General Electric. Through clever engineering and very clever marketing, they have managed to reduce the lifespan to just over 1000 hours and kept at that point. They were so successful that to this day, an incandescent light bulb only lasts about 1000 hours. It's an impressive feat, and it also shows just how much corporations can affect our lives and what we buy and what we use. But this cartel actually left a more significant mark than these light bulbs, and it's the concept of planned obsolescence. So what is planned obsolescence? In simple words, it's a business strategy in which the product is designed to either become unfashionable or impossible to use in a couple of years, and it'll need replacement. This concept is especially scary for transhumanism, because the companies can make the software or hardware, for that matter, useless in a matter of years. And when you consider that you'll actually be altering your own body and your mind, it becomes even more scary. For example, imagine you wake up one day, your mind is foggy, one of your eyes just doesn't open, but this is not, an illness or a hangover. This is actually a corporation removing some of your bodily functions because you didn't pay for your subscription. And this is a kind of a dystopian future, and you don't want that. Further than that, examples of similar actions actually exist right now. For example, Apple was faced with a lawsuit for programming a limited lifespan into their products. They admitted to slowing down their iPhones, which in turn forces the customers to buy new ones. And imagine if this was the case for example, artificial limbs. It would be not a great look for transhumanist movement. But even if such technology becomes available, nothing stops corporations from making an excessive profit from it. Let's look at the case of the insulin controversy in the US. According to a report by Human Rights Watch, prices for insulin have risen by more than 6 times from 1996 to 2018. You can actually see this rather sharp increase on this graph. And there are multiple reasons for it, of course, but the biggest one is, first of all, lack of regulation, and second, the ability of corporations to slowly increase the prices. Here I should also add that this graph is adjusted for inflation, so there are no economical factors. This is purely corporations driving up their profits. And with such high prices, this creates a vulnerable layer of people who maybe cannot afford the insurance or anything, and there can be grave consequences for it, because for them, these prices are basically. And when you apply this to actually groundbreaking transhumanist technology, there are scary implications, because there is no argument of saving lives or helping people. This is a voluntary improvement, and they can charge basically as much as they want for it. Well, what do you have in conclusion? Transhumanism is a way of life which seeks the betterment of humanity through progress. And its proponents say that these technologies will actually improve our life. They'll change it for the better. But unfortunately, the big corporations show that they can do anything to keep these advancements from us, or at least make a fortune while selling them. This can even further increase the gap between a normal human and the one with and a more, socially affluent person. Yet the transhumanists have one ally here, and it is time, because nobody knows how long it will take to develop these technologies. Maybe 100 years, maybe 200 years. And who knows, maybe by that time the world will be completely different. Well, only time can tell. Now I welcome your questions. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Nikolai. That was very interesting presentation, a very good, start for our discussion. So I would like to invite everybody to put plus in the chat if you liked what Nikolai presented to us. Minus if you didn't like it for some reasons, and question marks if you would like to ask your questions. Also, you could write down the question itself, or you could raise a hand, because we have few minutes to ask Nikolai on what we would like to discuss. So firstly, Emil, what's your feedback on
Yes, Sergey. So I liked the approach by Nikolai. So Nikolai, thank you for raising the quite important topic of the future of transhumanism and the technological impact to the value of the companies. So the companies that you were mentioning, they are public companies that are focused on their long-standing capitalization increase, and that is very important. How transhumanism is affecting their capitalization targets for raise up. And I have a question for you. That's the question of the gamification. So you were mentioning the technologies for markets, for the companies, but what about the employees that are working in that companies? And this is the topic of gamification, making the new generation, especially in the technological companies. What do you think? How gamification by executing the processes differently by the new coming and a fresh generation coming for these positions in the companies affect transhumanism in the future?
Oh, well, I'd say that I think that a lot of younger population have actually grown on some kind of scientific, novels, movies like Star Wars or Star Trek. So for maybe for younger generation, for people like me, these ideas are actually part of the pop culture, and it would be very awesome to see them in the future, because there are startups which are focused on transhumanism, and there are ways in which transhumanism can actually help an existing business. So I think with new workers, with new blood, such ideas can only prosper. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and a short question: will there be their so-called not the transhumanism, but trans robotics in the future?
Well, this I think depends on which branch of transhumanism will you ask, because technically developing artificial intelligence and creating robots actually also falls into the big basket that is transhumanism. I think that it may be easier to develop a robot for a specific task and free up an actual human to transcend further, to become a better version of themselves. So I think that development of robots will also play a big part.
Thank you very much, Nikolai.
Well, there is a question in the chat I see. What do you think of what extent these technologies are applicable to Russia of today or immediate tomorrow? That's actually a good question, because I think the nature of transhumanism is such that it's not really applicable to today in terms of there are some technologies that are like exoskeletons prototypes, there is AI, there are cryonics to freeze people for 100 years and wake them up in a better world. But I don't think these technologies are immediately applicable, mostly because at this point it's still just cheaper to use normal day-to-day technology to achieve certain tasks. And those technologies are, as it was said, just for the enthusiasts, for voluntary use, for people who just want to push this envelope further and make future further.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Nikolai, for your presentation and for the answers you provided. Also, I would like to mention that transhumanism is a very, slippery topic in terms of ethics, because firstly we are humans, and how we would manage to live with these technologies. And it was what I liked in your presentation, that you have raised the question on where is the borderline between capitalization of the company, as Emil and you mentioned, and where is another part of being a human being. So it's very interesting, and that's a topic for discussion, I guess, on further sections. So here, as we have raised the question of HR technologies, employees and employers, I would like to invite our participants who are talking about HR tech. So, as I remember, Julia or Paulina, right?
I, with my colleague Veronica, can say about remote work and the future of this format.
Let's start with the remote work, but then we will ask Julia to present HR tech. And please keep in mind that I'm writing in the chat 1-2 minute warning for the conclusion, so we are in time. Okay, so please be attentive to that moment. So yes, that's good. We see a presentation. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Так, секунду сейчас. So the measure is taken during the pandemic. Will lose the status of temporary and take root, creating a new operating environment conducive to optimizing the work of organizations, which will primarily lead to serious changes in internal communications and employee motivation. According to survey conducted in social networks, only 63% of respondents would definitely like to return to the office. With 9% of those who could not choose, we can see a large number of people who would prefer to work remotely. At the same time, the likelihood that head managers will listen to the opinion of the employees is quite high. Remote work is convenient for some employees. Так, а вам видно, что я переключаю слайды вообще?
Yeah, we see that you change slides, but on the right side we have a panel which is hidden. I don't know, maybe it's an app that covers part of the slide.
Remote work is convenient for some employees and completely unsuitable for others. Companies should optimize and use in their long-term development. Consequently, the advantages and disadvantages of remote work are worth analyzing.
Yeah, before involvement in remote work, people mostly had superficial and very stereotypical ideas about such a format. However, remote could become the world of 2020 and the previous year in Russia, as well as self-isolation or lockdown. We can say that the era of self-organization has come. In the new conditions, it has become more difficult to build a work and rest schedule and maintain work efficiency. Now it depends on person's discipline and the ability to self-organize. And for those who had this ability, remote work became a source of additional time and new opportunities such as the ability to shift work and the opportunity to do their house chores, cook breakfast, and take care of children. However, for others, remote work has caused procrastination and a decline in productivity. Not everyone can manage their time competently when the usual mechanism regulating work and rest have stopped. First of all, the usual morning rituals that help to turn into work, turn on a person. Some morning routines have become simpler or completely disappeared, and it means that it has become much more difficult to switch to working mode. Breaks during the day have also changed. At home, it's perceived differently because in the flow of tasks, many people simply forget about breaks, and there is no need to leave the workplace, for example, for meal. In addition, the absence of a formal and of the working day and some rituals like turning off the computer, saying goodbye to colleagues leads to the fact that it can be as difficult to switch from working mode. Moreover, the combination of the two parts, two worlds, work and home, doesn't always lead to the popular work-life balance, and some people know that it's a problem, and they say it's difficult to explain to a child that although mom is at home, she is busy and can't play with them or watch cartoons. According to another survey from RBC, approximately 78% of respondents see disadvantages in remote work. Thus, every third respondent admitted that it's difficult for them to concentrate at home and their work efficiency is failing. Almost the same number answered that it was difficult for them to separate personal life from work. Among other reasons, there is a poorly equipped workplace, for example, a small laptop screen. Some people find it hard to work when children and family are around, or they suffer from a lack of communication with colleagues. These are possible reasons why a person may feel disappointment instead of satisfaction and happiness. Also, it's interesting to note that many respondents are also dissatisfied with the fact that they gain extra weight working remotely.
However, various observations show that people are gradually adapting to the new format of work. They see the advantages and try to eliminate the obvious disadvantages, which explains why the percentage of those who would like to work from home on a regular basis is quite large. Managers at various levels who until recently were convinced that the only way to really work is in the office are now beginning to understand the positive impact that remote work has on employee productivity and mental health. Here are a few reasons for that. Firstly, remote work saves employees money. Recently, Citrix and the Center for Economic and Business Research conducted a survey in the United States on remote work practices among 2,500 knowledge workers. It turns out that just 2 days of remote work a week could save workers more than $107 billion, including both reduces gas and travel costs from home to the office and back, and the added value of freed up time. Then employees give more time to work if it's remote, because it's home, they usually start their working day in time and they can finish it later. Remote work reveals new professional and economic reserves. High-tech telecommuting models have opened the eyes of business to attracting the best talent, no matter where they are. Then remote work saves the environment. Just 2 days of remote work a week can reduce the emissions of carbon dioxide by 30% as a result of commuting. According to some estimates, such a flexible schedule could reduce carbon emissions by 214 million tons per year.
The motivation system has undergone change. A new approach to employee management is required, especially in times of crisis. And now we would like to share you some ideas, some techniques that can be used to keep employees motivated. Firstly, start your working day with communication. One of the serious disadvantages of remote work, which many people talk about, is the lack of live communication, and as a result, the difficulty in maintaining a team spirit. Several times a week, 2 minutes before the start of the working day, arrange a phone call to find out about each other's well-being, for example. Secondly, actively develop corporate culture, help employees get to know each other better. In the office, employees communicate as members of a team. However, with remote work, special effort should be made to foster team spirit. For example, you can organize some additional activities like sport games, different entertainments, bowling, billiards, having a picnic, or even team dinners. All that broaden employees' horizons and let them have a good time together.
Then help employees set up their workplace. Employees should allocate a special place in the apartment and equip it in the office style. However, not everyone has an extra money to buy a desk, a large monitor, or a good chair. Therefore, often employees work with a laptop on their couch or at their kitchen table. It will be good motivation for employees if the employer takes on at least part of those costs of arranging the workplace, compensate for the cost of electricity, internet, and mobile communications, issue office equipment to the employee for temporary use. The employer also might pay for fitness club membership and message certificates to help employees keep fit, get rid of stress. Then work in sprints. One of the options to support the productivity of employees working remotely is to use projects with the methodologies. For each employee, prepare a list of tasks that they might complete in the next fortnight. Workers independently distribute their workloads, focusing on their own capabilities and preferences. In such system, it's important to correctly estimate employees and their abilities and professional skills. Then give employees personal time. With the remote work format, it's difficult for employees to switch from home mode to work mode. As a result, some begin to be lazy and miss deadlines, while others, on the contrary, constantly increase their time for work and, as a result, sit on the front of the computer from morning to night.
And last but not least, point from our side, offer a hybrid work format. It's not necessary to work as only in the office or only remotely. Let employees decide where and when it's convenient for them to solve current problems. An effective way is to introduce shift work. Thus, employees will enjoy the benefits of remote work, and the next day they will make up for the disadvantages of this format in the office with live communication with their colleagues. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you a lot. A bit more of time you have taken, but it's okay. It was an interesting and actual topic. So, Emil, what's your feedback? What's your question, maybe?
Very nice overview, and I think the prediction of what's going to be with the personal and group and corporate motivations. So thank you very much, girls, for this outline. I have a question that is having two small ones in one. So the first, I tried to find something in your presentation overlook regarding to the option program. And as you know that there are option programs, shareholder, phantom options, work options. So it's many variety of that. What do you think would be the role of option? And option is programs for the personnel that is working from the Soho. And the second small question, today is very popular, the idea of so-called combi house, meaning that it's adjoining work and live in the one place, and it's 100% time workspace for the personnel that is not anymore going to office, and all the activities done from the home, the 100%. What do you think is the problem could be for the combi house program implementations, and if it's conflicting with the personal targets of the people? So these are my two questions.
Thank you very much for your questions. What about the format of completely work from home? And I think the essential problem of this is personal communication, because when you work only from home, you can be more efficient, and if it's a case that you say about this example, popular example, maybe during this work the person having problem with interruptions from the family or another difficulties with time and breaks. But from my opinion, I believe that it's really important to maintain team spirit and work together with problems and making common decisions during work at the space of the office. And from my experience, sometimes when I communicate with colleagues, for example, I can't see them in the office because they have different shift work. For example, I work during odd days and then have another shift, and it's difficult for me to communicate without visualization of this person. No matter what is the color of his head, of his hair, but it's important for me to understand what is the person on the other side of the screen. And can you please repeat first?
The options, the role of options for this personnel and for these people. Do you understand what is option?
I guess you better, provide more details for Paulina, because maybe she.
So the option program, meaning that the company is giving a part of something to the employee. So when the shareholder is a part of company, when the phantom is a part of profit, when this work option is a part of, so it's a fixed remuneration regarding to the result of the company. And this is the part, this is not a salary, this is not a bonus, but this is a part of something. And today is quite a popular programs for the options. And if the companies continue providing options for this personnel working in the remote, in the home offices, what do you think would be the role of these options for the personnel? Another way, is it going to increase their entrepreneurial approach for the work or not?
Of course, it can help to force the desire of employees to work from home. We mentioned some measures from employers like compensation the cost of electricity, some special features for workplace, and maybe these options, of course, should give more advantages for employees.
Yeah, of course, interpersonal communications is very important, and without it, no area of business can be sufficiently successful and productive. You must always be able to maintain a balance between digital work and communication with colleagues, which is necessary to maintain corporate culture, communication channels, and so on. In every area of life, there is a place for personal connections.
Thanks a lot. I guess that Emil was, pointing out that options like part of shares of the company, which employee could have in the future after 3-5 years or something like this. So I would like to recommend Polina, Veronica, and everybody exactly to learn more about option scheme for the company. So what is shares and how it's working. So in the future, you could cover this topic more clearly.
Yes,
I know that
it's interesting research, but I think it hasn't a link with remote work, because I think all employees have opportunity to have options in their companies, besides of the format of their work.
it depends, of course, on the company and whether they have such, remuneration bonuses or do not have. So I know this topic is very discussional, so we would get to it from another point. Thanks a lot for the presentation, Polina and Veronica.
Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you. Yeah.
I would like to invite Julia, right?
Right.
Yes, Julia with HR Tech.
Thank you.
Please be concise with time, 7 minutes.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay.
1 second.
Yeah, that's good. Just full screen and you're welcome.
Okay. So hello everyone. In my today presentation, I'm going to walk you through some of the most recent, some of the best trends of my profession of HR manager. And here you can see the plan of my speech. I will try to be as brief and as concise as possible. And after my presentation, I'll be happy to answer your questions. So today, the era of the talented worker, talented employee. For the first time in the last 10 years, retention, engagement, and talent attraction will be at the top of the list of priorities of a modern organization. And in global study of the human capital market, two big issues can be identified. These are leadership and talent retention. And these issues are generated, first of all, by the dynamics of global economic growth, and organizational power will pass into the hands of creative staff. Highly effective employees will begin to control it, and therefore people feel more free to choose a new job. And companies that don't learn how to attract, how to engage generation Y will be the losers. And here are 10 of the most modern and child trends. I'll begin with the first one, the needs for talents that will go global. Specialists of technical and humanitarian skills will be in short supply soon, and recruiting methods should be brought to the global level. Management will be forced to form and grow a gene pool of talents, build networks of talents that will help attract them around the world. Then, secondly, companies will find a large personal shortage and will build a system of technical support for talents. Partnerships with leading universities, business schools, and organizations focus on continuous learning will help to attract and will help retain the best talents and build a joint future. I believe. Yes, and organizations will attract employees who are able to generate new knowledge and manage the intellectual and innovative cycle themselves. Yes. Then talking about focus on employees' passion and holistic work environment. If companies are looking for ways to attract and develop our generation and generation Y, then they will have to rethink their approach to employee engagement. A fair process in business is the practical application of the theory of procedural fairness by managers, and voluntary cooperation is something more than the mechanical performance of work when people do only what is necessary. With the voluntary cooperation, a person goes beyond his scope of duties and gives the maximum of his available strength and abilities, and even subordinates personal interests to this. Three mutually reinforcing elements are crucial for a fair process in an organization. These are engagement, explanation, and clarity of expectations. And as HR managers note today, employees are no longer looking for a career; they are looking for experience. And the task is not is to make sure that the experience is valuable, definitely interesting, and expands opportunities and prospects for employees. Then today, companies are aggressively redesigning their compensation package and personal evaluation programs, focusing on coaching, development, constant alignment of goal, and recognition, of course. Management must prove by concrete actions desire to trust people and to take care of them, as well as a deep faith in the knowledge, talents, and experience of each employee. And while employees feel recognized for their intellectual potential, they willingly share their knowledge. And when employees experience emotional recognition, they feel their involvement in the creation and implementation of the strategy and are ready to make every effort they have. Then the mobility of talents is already obvious. The social networks like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook should be respected for the fact that they help to find the best job for you. And organizations, in order to meet the challenge of the time, will have to develop internal mobility of talents and ensure their career growth in the company. Today is a time to build a strategy of facilitated talent mobility, which includes open access to internal vacancies, personal assessment tools, interview guides, leadership values with a focus of internal development. HR managers are obliged to engage not in talent consumption, but in talent production. And the best source of talent today is within the company. If you can't create internal mobility of talents, then a good specialist will be good in another company. Everything is easy. With the growth of the economy, a request for more aggressive methods of recruitment is being formed, as is already said. The talent maker market is the fastest growing HR market. New social recruitment tools, talent communities, big data, approach to talent evaluation, and recruiting platforms are announced almost every month. Today, companies will face the need to integrate their approach in talent management, develop a global strategy, increase the use of analytics and big data, as well as social networks, of course. The HR technology and the contact market will continue to grow. ERP market players like Oracle, SAP, Workday, ADP will release integrated solutions to the market. IBM, Cornerstone on Demand, People Fluent, and Sum Total, and dozens of other rapidly growing companies in the field of talent management, automation, will offer continuous cycle solutions. And most of them are also integrated analytic solutions. The key to the successful application of technologies will be the ease of use and implementation. Finally, companies investing in HR analytics will double their recruiting performance, attract leaders 3 times, as well as improve their financial performance, increase the effectiveness of personal decisions, including reducing staff turnover. Talking about new standards for HR professionals, the need for new skills and competencies is among the top 5 challenges of the time today. And the very content of HR, its status in the organization, and the range of professional tasks are changing. So let's define the general principle that HR managers should be guided by today. Firstly, the work of the HR service is based on a new approach, absolutely new approach to personal management, which is based on the recognition of the priority of the employee's personality over production and profit. And secondly, HR services have a high status in the organization. They are endowed with all the necessary powers and budget to solve tasks. Thirdly, the professionalization of HR services employees. And fourth, HR services closely interact and are jointly responsible for the results of work with top managers, line managers of the company. And finally, outsourcing of personal work. The personal management system of companies is increasingly being transferred to external contractors in order to improve the quality of personal work and even reduce transaction costs. Yes, 3 words about my vision of the HR specialist of the future. I believe today the concept of personal officer is becoming a thing of the past, and a specialist who is able to attract, develop, retain, and help manage talents is increasingly valued. The mission of new HR specialists is to build up a critical mass of talented, creative people whose growth is limited only by some organizational resources. Also, today organizations focus on innovations, new ideas, new knowledge, and technology support in HR. This requires management to have integrated teams, focus on the skills and abilities of the HR specialists themselves, and the leadership position of the head of the HR service. That's just my thoughts. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm ready to answer your questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Julia, for your vision on HR technologies and how HR niche is developing nowadays. Of course, one more time, I emphasize that time is very valuable for us. and we need to be concise in how we present. So, Emil, what's your feedback on this topic?
Yulia, thank you that you observe the function of HR not from just the future perspective function, but from the technological aspect of that. So that is really valuable. And my question would be about HR partnership. So what is the role of the HR partnership in the future HR function? As we know that the HR departments today are not completely, of course, but partially are restructured and transferred to the Institute of the HR partners. And what do you think could be the role of HR partners in the future organizations by the companies?
I believe that in the future it will be essential for all the companies that want to have success to have a HR partnership, because HR managers must take part in the strategy, in strategic actions. They must see all the processes of organization, because people and the employees are the most valuable thing today, their knowledge, and without HR managers, management won't be able to make a strategy that will make the company to have advantage. Yes, I believe that's so.
Do you think that HR partnership is completely changing HR role? It's meaning that HR competences, they're not anymore created in the field of HR itself, but in the field of the function. As HR partner is not an HR background person, is a person of the function background. Like HR partner is sales, meaning that it's a sales, it's not an HR. And do you think that it's for the company that would be quite a challenge to replace classic HR to the HR partnership that is incorporating in each function? My short comment that I understand why the company is doing that, because the HR manager is experiencing quite a big difficulty to recruit a chief accountant. And to handle the interview with the chief accountant is quite difficult, because when you handle the interview, what's your education, what's your stress level, it's clear. But when you need to start speaking about professional area, for the HR manager, it seems not a big, it seems as a big challenge. And that is why HR partners, as financial people for their background, they are handling these interviews with the more attention, and they can keep this conversation, this check, this evaluation based on the professional level. So your reflection and insight, would the HR partnership become a big challenge, but it's not in the meaning of the headache for the company, but as a positive challenge for the company?
Of course, I agree with you. Thank you for your question. Yes, it would be a great challenge, and it will take a lot of time, a lot of effort. It won't be easy for companies, especially in Russia, I believe, because HR is not an old thing in Russia. Yes, but it would be very positive experience and a very positive aspect for our companies to continue their growth and to make future themselves.
Okay, thank you very much. No more questions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Yes, Julia, you could check a lot of pluses in the chat that's how people appreciate your presentation.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
Veronica and Paulina, sorry, I forgot to ask people to somehow, assess your presentation. But we move on, and the next presentation, I guess we have two more of them, right? So who is the next one?
Yes, we can with Arman.
Yes. Let's go. Just remember 7 minutes maximum for your presentation. Now I will tell with my voice, not in the chat, but with my voice that it's time to conclude. So please be concise.
Yes, we will try.
Okay.
Yes, is it okay?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I welcome you all on this student guide. My name is Martirosyan, and my colleague name is Alexander Praskurnia. The topic of our presentation will be Metaverse as a new way of remote working. As fast as the world of technology is changing, it is essential to keep up with them in order to not fall behind other businesses. Our agenda consists of 4 parts. First, we will take a look at how remote working becoming a new way, a new chapter of doing. Move on Metaverse, definition and how it works. After that, we will discuss how Meta could be a tool for remote work, and finally proceed through potential drawbacks of Metaverse. So without further ado, let's start our presentation. Alexander, you're welcome to speak.
Yes, thank you, Arman. Hello for everyone. And as my colleague has already said, with the significant developments in technology, we are entering like a new decade in which high technology is being integrated in our way of life at a rapid pace. And more recently, it seemed to us that remote work is just like a privilege for those IT specialists on freelancers like this man. And despite the high level of development of communication technologies such as fast internet, fast laptops and computers, the availability of high quality webcams and microphones, and no one believed in the possibility of using like a remote work format for, say, entire department without losing efficiency and productivity. And however, with the advent of the corona pandemic and COVID-19, most service businesses around the world have been forced to transform all of their employees to full or partial remote work. And the results of this were really astonishing. Not only did the workers perform well in their job, but many managed to increase their productivity while achieving the company's new goals. And 2 years into a monumental shift to work from home, business leaders are more convinced about the productivity gains achieved, although some are no closer to giving up the office. And in many companies determine what to do with the office is the focal point of a much larger decision. Here are some statistics, as you can see. And as you can see, the success of remote work has reimagined how corporate work gets done, as well as where the work takes place. And now it's just a matter of what tools must be used for that purpose. And the answer might be relatively new concept that's called metaverse. And now let's move to the main question. And what is metaverse and how it works? And basically, metaverse is the generation of the internet, and it enables to deliver connected immersive experience based around activities. And metaverse also can be defined as a simulated digital environment that uses augmented reality, virtual reality, and blockchain, along with concepts from social media, and to create spaces for rich user interaction mimicking the real world. It emphasizes on activities crafted by an exponential rise in creators in immersive places, in which the self is present with the ability to link and empt immersive emergent content. And dependence on VR technology has limited metaverse development and wide-scale adaptation. Limitation of portable hardware and the need to balance cost and design have caused a lack of quality graphics and mobility, and lightweight wireless headsets have struggled to achieve retina display, pixel density need for visual immersion. And another issue for wide scale adaptation, the technology is cost, with consumer VR headset ranging in price from 300 to 3,000 as of 2022. And current hardware development is focused on overcoming limitation of VR headsets, sensor, and increasing immersion with haptic technology. And now I'm giving the floor to Arman, who will tell you in more detail about metaverse in the field of remote work.
Thank you, Alexander. So now let's move on to a more specific look at the metaverse as a new tool for remote work. If we take a current way of remote work, which essentially consists of home plus computer plus internet, with the potential idea of complete immersion in virtual reality, and compare it with each other, we can see that the method that is currently familiar and available to us today contains quite a lot of disadvantages. And the problems of this method of work were isolation, the inseparability of the house, which is both a place of rest and work, as well as the absence of the usual interaction. However, with the metaverse, those problems will disappear. Now that this potential idea is already being implemented and has some working concepts, it's safe to say that the meta has practical applications in a remote work environment. With the help of such tool, it will be possible to solve a number of problems that exist in the familiar environment of work. Those are encourage team cohesion, improve team collaboration, and allow remote workers to interact with all their customers. Experts say that the most crucial entry among metaverse business ideas would be to focus on employees' engagement. And one of the examples of a corporation that does that is Microsoft. The Microsoft Mesh is practically developing as a virtual workspace solution where a user can access all the Microsoft services in one place. The next part is the reverse side of the coin. We can see many drawbacks of the metaverse itself, because with every innovation comes its drawbacks. And it would seem that after so many wars, the metaverse can only have benefits. However, this is not quite true. It is important to understand that this is a rather complex technology that becomes available not only with the availability of necessary technologies, but also with specialists, which means that not the whole world can be, so to say, connected to the new universe. So another, perhaps the most serious drawback is health issue. As we know, humans are highly socialized creatures, and therefore face-to-face social interaction is important to us. The lack of such interaction usually leads to different mental disorders. And then being almost all the time in one place, that is some universe, will mean that you stay at your house, for example. That also can cause the health damage. And also information privacy. It is an area of concern for metaverse because related companies will likely collect users' personal information through interactions and biometric data from wearable, virtual, and augmented reality devices. And some meta platforms is planning on employing targeted advertising within their metaverses. So in conclusion, we would like to say that this new technology, although it seems like a new concept, it is already can be seen that this is the future. It's just a matter of time when this technology will become a usual part of our life, as we now use, for example, Zoom conference, in the future, we will use metaverse as a way to connect with each other and do some projects, work together, and so on. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, you are welcome to ask.
Thanks a lot for the presentation. It was very nice and interesting view on the future, and I guess it's the addition to what Nikolai firstly mentioned about transhumanism. It's something very near. So yes, you could put plus in the chat if you like this presentation. Also, you could write down your questions for the guys, and maybe Emil has something to.
Yes, thank you, guys. So first, I have two comments. First, that's very nice that you really understand the future-based technologies and their integration and affection to the business process, not of the company, but the business process of intermediary and interaction between the company and the people. And the second, quite a valuable thing that you are architecturing the model where the person is integrated in the work process in the remote way. That's due to today's circumstances. We know that it's happening and it will happen. So the part and the size of this remote work is just increasing. My question and a comment would be for the following. So now, okay, it's clear how the person is connected, how the person is worked on. But that's not only the usage of the platforms of their, let's say, Microsoft Office. That's a usage of integratory platforms like the ERP systems, enterprise resource planning systems, and more than 7,000 integrators. So what do you think the company should do as a step number 2 to integrate the people to these specialized, specific platforms to operate, to communicate as generally ERP? And so what's your ideas and what is your propositions for the companies, what they should do to integrate the person to ERP and ERP to person? And the comment, I think that you that's the comment for the improvement in the future when you are creating the architecture, technological architecture. I would recommend you also to emphasize their average costs for this installation and for these implementations. But this is my recommendation for the future.
Well, to start with the IRP, that actually specializes on a high performance electric powertrain system for, say, variety of e-mobility platforms. Now, the way the company can integrate both users and the platform itself together is currently the way the most corporation and the most experts say, in terms of more specific IT way of how to do that. The idea is that the company shall create one universe, both for the platform and the user itself. So to say, there will be one space where users will connect on their own, and the company itself, say the IT department, will be responsible of integrating the IPR universe. Therefore, they will connect together, and it will be as the one universe itself, where the platform is available to the users once they are connected to the universe, and they can together use it while connected. That's the way to integrate. That's just for now. But of course, the times go on, more developments appear, new ways are found, and therefore I believe they will find new solutions to that. Maybe current solutions are sort of hard, not so clear to see, but I believe in the future we will see how it's going to happen. What was your second question? I'm sorry.
That was not the question, as a comment when you are proposing the architecture. So it's better to emphasize the ratio for the investment cost that the companies need to apply. If you don't know the absolute figures, you can apply it as a part of their shareholding capital or part of their year revenue or part of year profit, but to get a feeling how much cost that for the company.
Well, of course, right now to give a current and specific figure is quite impossible because we don't know what the equipment will be cost to the company, but it is we can guarantee that the universe will probably replace the office. So from this point, from the today point of view, we can say that it will be probably cost less, but still probably the same percentage of companies' revenue as today companies spend on the office. So say, for example, if a company spends around $50 million a year for its office, for all the processes in the office, for rent, for energy, and so on, it will probably cost, say, 30% less of that sum to integrate a universe into a company's lifespan. So yeah, the percentage will be probably, it will be replace the office.
Okay, thank you very much.
I also have a question about implementation and the reality of this idea. Are there any companies that already are working on metaverse?
Yes, thank you for your question. Yes, Facebook is actually the most popular, right? And what to say, they have changed their parent company name from Facebook to Meta, and also Mark Zuckerberg is one of to promote this trend the most. And Microsoft also started to invest. They develop Metaverse on its own, and as we mentioned earlier, Microsoft Mesh is one of them. And I see one more question in chat. Yes. When do you think Metaverse will be available to the mass? It's actually, I think it's actually hard to predict, but an assumption can be made. And the fact is that right now the metaverse can already be assessed by any user that has this like special equipment. And but those are just handmade project mostly. And we believe that it's like probably by the mid of 20s and maybe or closer to 30s, that this technology will become more available to mass user.
Thanks a lot for the presentations. Very nice outlook on the metaverse functions and prospects. Of course, I would like to emphasize that it's a very big question of ethics and where is the borderline between being a human and being a transhuman, right? So that's very important, and I guess we will discuss it in the second part of our section. And now the final presentation. I would like to invite Dan and Elena, if I'm not mistaken, right? Evelina. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Evelina.
Okay.
So, can you hear the presentation well?
Yes, you are welcome.
Great. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for participating in this discussion. My name is Dan Konvisarev.
And I'm Evelina Safina.
We'll try to be concise enough not to take too much of your time. Today, in this remarkable day, we are going to present you our view on the future of higher education. At the end of the presentation, there would be some time for your questions, so don't you worry, we'll answer them.
Okay.
So let's get started. Personally, I work in the education sphere, and I know many people who were not taught well by a rigid structure of traditional academia. Countless college students told me how they did all their learning from videos on YouTube, and they attended classes only 3 or 4 times during the semester just to take the tests. And there are always numerous comments after different learning videos like, why I'm paying this school and not paying you? And actually, I wonder why does people have to go through the motions of attending class when they are learning all the material on their own? And why can't they get course credit on the ways? Why isn't anyone in universities paying attention to what people really need? Of course, YouTube learning channels cannot offer diplomas, but when there's a way for students to earn course credit on their own, the online marketplace is the online marketplace of different learning approaches will explode, and there will be serious competition for who could teach students the best. Well, outside of academia, things move very fast, and the stakes are different. And as a result, teaching of complex matters with the help of modern technologies, for example, entirely in VR, can be a solution. It's impossible to teach students in the situation materials lacking, as well as to check that everybody has a clear understanding of the subject. But VR can be a consistent one-on-one coach. The next slide, please. A learner can practice activities over and over until they truly understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. And students don't need an instructor. The software does the teaching. Put on VR headset, and you don't need a multi-million-dollar physics laboratory to teach physics. And it's clear that academia is not the only player that can provide high-quality learning, even in advanced technical fields. With VR, you can imagine single companies teaching fundamental skills. And when you look at all these forces together, it's clear that real change is going to come in higher education. And the impact of COVID is likely to only accelerate this. Even the most prestigious schools, like Harvard, are now given credit for courses completed online. And it's going to be tough to put the genie back into the bottle. Of course, to imagine how hard this change is going to be. And these new paths of teaching, of certification, they're not trivial shortcuts. They help students master the same fundamental skills, just more effectively and more efficiently. And I hope that once trying our VR products in the future, our professors will say, wow, that's pretty nifty. Yeah, that's the future of education.
So over the last decades, computer games have developed significantly from being just a simple entertaining source to becoming a potential educational instrument. How is that, you might be wondering? Well, just imagine the opportunities a virtual world can provide. Many experiments and surveys were conducted, such as a nationwide survey of 488 teachers conducted by researchers at New York University and the University of Michigan, which you can see on the screen. This survey showed that nearly 60% of teachers now use digital games at least weekly in teaching. In addition, virtual programs are widely used in a professional training of pilots and train drivers in order to maintain safety. In fact, there is an article published by the University of Nottingham, one of the most prestigious universities of the UK, devoted to the use of computer games in educational system. Here on the right, you can see the emblem of the university. On the whole, in this article, they conducted several experiments and gathered statistically valid data that computer games, in this case, special computer educational programs, positively influenced the levels of studying. They also embraced the feeling of competition for virtual points among students, and through the interactive technologies made them interested in lessons. Moreover, virtual simulators are widely used in flying schools. Yeah, I guess you already know that, when preparing pilots for their real flights, which of course brings safety to a new level. So overall, the implementation of computer games has eventually led to higher productivity and involvement among students. Moreover, they ensure the road and air safety, which is at the end of the day not the last thing we should care about. Now, if there's any questions, feel free to ask them.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the vision on online education, which is very important nowadays. And Emil, I guess you have something to say.
If you don't mind, I would ask two questions and one comment. Thank you very much, Denise and Evelina. So that was the look to the future of the education. My first question would be to you the following. So learning management systems and work management systems. So in other words, online education platform and work platforms, should they the same, or should they be different? That's my first question. My second question, that we started in the first presentation with the gamification, and I wanted to follow up with that. So what do you think the limits for this virtual gaming platforms creation? So is it a problem, could be, for the people that are losing the reality or losing the platform where they work? This is the second question. And my comment would be, I think that it's better that you could list more technical and integratory solutions of the softwares to make it more powerful for the people that are listening to you and will think and try to use either the software or integrator in their personal needs and in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for questions and comments. Well, as concerned the first question, personally, I don't think that these two platforms, I mean, learning and working platforms, should be combined, and they are aimed at, well, not completely, but partially different things. And if we speak about learning platform, it should be for learning. So people should not for working, and that is why the it should be formed in completely another way. So as you know, there are different ways of understanding our world. So there are some people who are visuals, who are digitals, who are auditors. So they understand information in different ways. And we should include it in our learning platform, and we should include different studying program that meet needs of different people. Whereas working platforms should be mostly used for work. So they should be aimed at fostering the working processes, at enabling people, communicating with people from all around the world. So these two platforms would use different software, and combine these two platforms will be, well, ineffective, I suppose. That's my point of view.
Yes, and as regarding the second question, if I got you right, you asked me about the limitations and downsides of the virtual education. Yeah, of course there are some, and the main downside, the main weak point, is that children cannot educate completely only in virtual space, as long as it is very important to understand who you're talking to. It's important to see emotions, to see reactions of people in order to maintain this so-called emotional intelligence level among children, especially the younger children. So thus, these virtual technologies and games are used in classes. They are not the individual work for students. It is only embraced in classes, then people are then children are interacting with each other, not only in virtual space, but also in real life.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot for all the presentations. So now we have quite a very widespread understanding of how the future is imposing changes for us and how we need to reflect on them. And now I would like to invite you to our mirror board. The link is in the chat. Please get through that link where firstly we will vote for our presenters. which topic was the most interesting, which topic was the most, far side looking. And so we will try to choose which presentation was the best one. And after that, we will go through different stages of understanding what is the goal for us as a humanity, what is the goal for us as each of us human being, and how we need to face challenges and changes which are approaching. So just tell me that you get to the mirror board. I hope that you have done it. Yeah, the already 6 person. So just get to the board. I will tell you how to vote here. Just a moment. Just wait for it. So you will see this screen. Yes, I hope everybody gets there. Also, I will make a demonstration of the screen so everybody could also see what's happening on here. So we have had 5 presentations: transhumanism, remote work, HR tech, metaverse, and online education. Now, I hope that not everybody, still 10 people only get to the mirror board. Please get through the link. Op. Please don't move anything here. I will log here. Okay. So 11 participants. If anybody has any challenges with connecting to the mirror board, just write down in the chat. I hope that we will solve your problems. Okay, so 11 is good enough, I guess. Just a moment, I will make, let's see. So now we will make a vote for our presenters. You will have 2 votes. You could use those votes for one presentation, or you might choose 2 different topics which you like the most. And you will have 2 minutes to put the vote to the sticker with the presenter which you like the most. So here we go. And I also will join the voting.
Yeah, and may I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are we allowed to vote for our own presentations?
You are allowed to vote for any presentation, but better be fair and vote for the presentations of other students. So, right. Yes, you have time to choose the topic.
2 voices, yes?
All in all, yes, 2 votes. You could put 1 vote for 1 sticker or 2 votes for 1 sticker, but better choose 2 different topics which you like the most.
Okay.
Or 12 out of 14 already voted, so we wait for 1 more vote and we will see the results. Just 1 participant still voting. Yes, 14 participants. Okay. So now I will show the screen where I have results. Maybe you see them too, but so for everybody to be clear. So we have 8 votes for 2 presentations: Nikolai Sokolov, Transhumanism, and Alexander Praskurnia and Arman Manouchian, am I right, for Metaverse. So we congratulate those 2 topics and 3 students with kind of victory in our small part of debates. So the prize for the best presentation is a mentor/coaching session with me or with an expert. So you might, Nikolai, Alexander, and Arman, choose with whom you would like to maybe discuss your further development, and write down to the chat or to the speaker, and we will try to provide our time to answer your questions and provide some kind of feedback or coaching. For those who also participated in presentations, I guess we will try to find a way to somehow, emphasize your attendance, your how to say, involvement in this process, and you will also have some kind of maybe session with me or something like this, but we will discuss it later. So now we get to the point when we would like to discuss actually what is changes and how these changes affect us as people, like personalities, like professionals, and like social beings. So now you have stickers on the left side of this box, and you might choose a sticker pointed to the part of the desk where you would like to write down your note. Just remember that one sticker is one idea which you would like to share, and you might write, for example, where are we now as humanity, as people, just you, like yourself, personally. So, for example, I am here and I am looking for corporate culture development. So for me, the topic of corporate culture development is very important. So that's why I put it here, that I'm looking for changes in it, that I understand that there is a future in this topic. And this is like professional thing for me, which I would like to share. Also, you could write down, like, for example, social skill, social part of challenges, like, for example, for me, the social point where I was standing is ethics. So what is ethics today? How we should implement it to all our decisions which we made, so on, so on, so on. So I will provide you 5 minutes. Just here is a timer. You could take stickers from the left side, put it to the right place, and write down your understanding of where are we now as humanity, as people, as professionals, in terms of further changes. So maybe what's your pains today? Maybe what are you lacking of? I don't know, ideas, some kind of understanding or communication or interaction or something else. So that's how we will understand what is our point A, where are we standing right now. So if it's clear, put a plus in the chat, I guess, in Zoom, or maybe just don't put it, just 5 minutes. If you have questions, you could turn on your mic and I will try to provide more details, but I guess it's quite clear. So please write down everything you would like to share, your ideas. We will discuss it. We will find solutions to these questions and to these points. So I see that somebody is already written down. So yes, you could. Wow, that's nice. I already see that somebody write down the abbreviation of Benny Worlds. It's quite a new abbreviation. Before it was VUCA World, a volatile world, which provide some stress in terms of how the world is changing. But now Benny World is quite a fragile world. When everything is interconnected, when changes in one point of the world could affect the whole world altogether, and we see it right now. So it's interesting that you have already used this abbreviation. Yeah, you could write down You could write down also your quite, personal feelings, your personal understanding, the insights which you have. So for those who are in Zoom but still didn't connect it to the mirror, here is the link one more time. Please get in, be involved, provide your ideas, share your ideas. I think it's very important today to be, like working together, communicating, and discussing things. And I will share the screen one more time. You could also write down, I would say, like problems which we have, maybe like humanity, or which you have like a person, I don't know, maybe lack of some skills, or don't know where to find your goal for the life, something like this. Also, you could write down what maybe you like as professional, also some skills maybe, or platforms for education as we discussed it. So just as so everybody here if you don't have a Myra account, I think it's not a problem, but you better sign in if you have an account. It might help you to write down. But as I see here, there are few people who do not logged in, just participating without accounts. So try to find the way to use it. If you are using mobile device, maybe it's harder for you to work with this platform, but I hope that we still have few ideas which we could discuss. So 1 minute before we start discussion on the point A. Okay, 30 seconds. So I hope that everybody is successful in writing down ideas which you have. So what we see here, it's time to check our point A. So time's up. And here I am to read what we have. In terms of point A, in personal outlook, the troubles of socializing after Zoom and lockdown. So this is actually, I think, connected to the topic which we discussed about, remote work and online education. Also, people suffer from professional burnout, and it's personal here because it's emotions. It's something with what we need to cope with. Anxiety and stress, I guess it's also about emotions and feelings. And monitoring online education, exam tests, and so on. I guess it's the need to develop yourself. So here we see that there is stress as a key factor of changes and the key thing that actually imposes threat for us. You will talk about professional points. So the future of international communication, work for international companies in Russia. So I guess that a lot of you have thought of developing yourself as in a career in international companies, and now it's kind of postponed. Future creating management teams in conditions of impermanence, okay, a place for graduate in a banning world, how to maintain team spirit when working virtually, technological staff isolation, staff training, a lot of HR things here, and yes, a place in a banning world. Okay, see it. And social ethics, equality in terms of rights, I guess, the problem of alienation due to the technologies, speaking the truth in organizations, and divergence of opinions about the surrounding events. So here are the key points which we see about our point A. Maybe somebody would like to summarize it with your voice. So just raise your hand and we could discuss it for a few minutes. What you see here, how it's really, interconnected with you, or maybe you have another point of view. Maybe somebody didn't write it down, so you have a chance to say it out loud. Anybody? So I'm quite surprised that nobody is going to say something on this topic.
Yeah, could you please define what are we gonna do right now? What are we gonna discuss?
Just now, you could share your maybe ideas, something what you didn't write down, or you see the whole picture and you could summarize it like, okay, I see it as a picture of key things. So just a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I could try and... Oh, sorry.
Okay, Elena, the first one. Right.
Okay, thank you. Well, personally, I suppose that this can be kind of indirect result of our body world, so of the constant changes that happen nowadays, so of this pandemic, of this online world, and this change and the changes happening in this online world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my opinion.
So I guess that the Benny World abbreviation was written by you, right? Okay, that's nice. Nikolai?
I think I also wrote the Benny World definition, but yeah, it feels like, people are stressed. People, from the things I see, it's like there is a lot of like new trends, black swans flying out of everywhere, and people are trying to adapt to them to see like what they can do, what they should do,
Mm-hmm.
what is better for them to do. So I think that's what I see from all of those points.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think it? I mean, it's a general question. How do you think were those changes and the same level of stress previously in ancient times, in Middle Ages, or it's just a key feature of our modern world? How do you think of it? Because I guess that changes were throughout the whole history of humanity. But maybe I'm not right. Yes, Nikolai, I see your hand.
Well, as I view it, like there were always big changes and there were always like historic events happening. But now, due to the 24/7 information wheel, the news cycle, it's just we learn about it far quicker, and it all can like pile up on you and create the real sense of like being lost, being confused, being vulnerable. For example, I think that maybe like in ancient Greece, when they were at war, some people in Athens might not have known like the full scale of something, or if there was like an outbreak of Black Plague in Europe, people wouldn't see, the reality of it somewhere in Russia. But now it's far different. And when there is a lockdown in Shanghai, the entire world can see how it goes. And yes, I think there's just much more information.
So, as you mentioned that more information nowadays, and that's why the stress is grown up And previously, in ancient times, for example, people do not understand the whole scale of the events, but maybe it shows us that we need to decrease the pace of the development of technologies and go back to what human beings are, like social being, like friend for your neighbor, and do not go that fast to the technological changes which we discussed today, like transhumanism, like metaverse.
Wow.
Maybe we're going in the wrong direction. What do you think on it? I mean, maybe somebody would also answer it for Nikolai. You could.
I mean, like, transhumanism is kind of my topic, so I can tell you what, like, in that doctrine, I can tell you from, like, that experience an answer to this question. Because if you ask a transhumanist this, he'll tell that, like, you cannot stop the progress. Unless it's maybe, like, something very violent. But the progress will go on, and trying to ban technologies or stop them will be unwise and very, very unpredictable what will happen after that.
Mm-hmm. Maybe any other opinions? Yes, Evelina, I see your hand too. You could.
Yeah, I partially agree with you and Nikolai too. So I suppose that we can't decrease the pace of the development, as it will be equal to killing ourselves. And however, it would be a great idea to try to combine this new dramatically fast pace with the previous life. So maybe that will solve some personal and social problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see your point. Any other ideas?
Yeah, may I mention another sphere of discussion if we're finished here?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, there was a very interesting point about these ethical problems, for example, in companies and in Russia in particular. We need to somehow develop a corporate culture, because how could we work in a corporation without being ethically up-to-date, up-leveled? The problem is that in most companies in Russia, we have so-called autocratic corporate culture and autocratic management style, which of course leads to some ethical problems among employees.
Mm-hmm. That's quite a discussional topic, I would say, as a professional in corporate culture, because we have a very, just my opinion, right? We have quite strange approach that we need to just implement Western or Eastern model of corporate culture. I think that Russia itself is quite a big country, right, with a lot of differences between regions and so on. And maybe we have some kind of Russian corporate culture. So this is actually the topic which I am looking into as a professional. But there are different models. You are right. For example, there is a spiral dynamics, which shows that there are red level of power in company, there is blue level of regulations in companies, and of course, due to different events and evolution of corporate style management, maybe we are not that high on that spiral, but still, yes, that's good. That's a good question. How to implement the best from out the world and make culture for our development. That's good. So as we covered, as Nikolai covered, that progress could not be stopped, I propose to you to formulate, okay, we don't know how to stop the progress, and maybe we do not need to stop it, but where we would like to lead it. What will be the goal for our progress? What is the key point? What is the goal for it? So I invite you here to the step 2, which is after step 3, and I will tell you where it's so. And write down on the stickers, where do we want to be? So we're talking about changes, digital changes, strategy changes, HR, transhumanism, and so on. So what is the goal for you? How do you see the future in terms of personal life, your personal goals, in terms of professional goals, in terms of social goals for the whole humanity. So in what direction should this progress be going to? This is the key point, I think, in today's discussion. And that's why you have 5 minutes to write down your ideas on what is point B for us, where we should go from point A. So time is on. Write down your ideas on personal, professional, and social goals for humanities for maybe 2030, for 2035, or 2040, just in terms of 10, 15 years beyond. So, yes. For those who could not write down in the Miro board, I have the solution for you. You could write down your ideas in Zoom chat. Just put down that, for example, personal, and then write down your idea. Professional, and then your idea. Please write down so everybody is connected, so everybody is here in the discussion, because I see that not each of you could go to the Miro board, unfortunately. So write down in the chat. Yes, Dan, that's right. I have seen that you write too much cheating and then less cheating. Yeah, so please be like more positive in terms of goals, in terms of what you would like to see as a future for humanity. So you have 2.5 minutes to write down your ideas. Also, I remind you that you could write down it in Zoom chat if you are not in Miro. So I will help you with writing down your ideas in Miro by myself. Yes, thanks a lot. I see Irina has written down a few ideas. In 1 minute or even 45 seconds. I see that here in point B we have more stickers than previously, and that's good. That's good. And that means that we have more ideas, and we would like to discuss them. 20 seconds. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's nice. That's nice. Thanks a lot for your ideas. Now I will try to summarize them. So, in terms of personal development, where do we want to be? Gain soft skills, wider education, reduce the level of information consumption, enhance discipline levels in studies, gain even better soft skills one more time. That's nice. And divide anxiety into necessary and optional information. That's quite an interesting. So what we see here in the focus, we are talking about how to make our communication better, how to understand each other better in terms of soft skill, how to increase our understanding of the world with wider education and anxiety into information which we are looking for, and on the other side, try to reduce the level of information which we are getting in. So some kind of try to filtrate that information, to filter it, to get only what we need to. That's interesting. Going to professional, we would like to create more humanistic corporate culture, personalized learning systems, passionate, loyal, and interested in work process employees, ethical and responsive audience, and more self-developed and organized teams. That's interesting. That's how we see the world is changing, right? We go into their teams where people are interested in projects itself. So people are not, like told to do something. People choose what to do. That's interesting. I guess, in my opinion, just my professional point of view, or my personal point of view, it's like going back to the ancient times where there were not slaves, but people were doing what they would like to. Somebody was, working with the fields, someone was working with the metal, and that was interesting. So it's a good transformation for me. And social, great opportunities for interaction between people, tolerance in all spheres of life, free access to the internet and technologies, peace and democratic development, and based education. So that's good. As I see, the key points here in point B are of gaining more soft skills to understand people better, to create more humanistic interaction between people, and to actually make the education more based, more wider, and to provide more knowledge for people so they are interested in what they do. Maybe you have something else to say. Maybe you would like to discuss what I have summarized and you have another point of view. So your mic should be on and you are welcome to tell your ideas. Anything? So maybe it's just all clear. So, okay, let's have this point B. And now the key point of all our today's topic. So we understand what is point A. Where do we start? And as we have seen, there is stress, there is troubles in socializing, there are things like not optimal corporate cultures, like technical staff isolation. We need to training our staff, questions of ethics, and we need to go to the more educated, more understanding society where we have more soft skills, more ethical, responsive audience, and everybody is interested in what they are doing. So now the key point of our section, how we should do it? How do we get from point A to point B? Here, I ask you to take those blue stickers, put it into personal, professional, social like actions. So just formulate them like an action. So for example, create more, I don't know, liberal arts universities, or I don't know, maybe educate top managers on something, or personal like study more, I don't know, math or geography or something like this. So write down here the things that after this section you would take as your roadmap to the future, to the point B where you want to be. Write it down as an action. So 5 minutes for you. I guess the task is clear, and I would like to see your ideas how humanity should get from point A to point B. So what are the key actions, the key ideas, the key recommendations for people, for yourself, or professional? And also, I remind that you could write down your ideas in Zoom chat, so we could also point them here, and do not miss anything what's crucial. So 3 minutes. Write down about yourself too. How do you see your personal development? What actions might help you to overcome these challenges? How you might develop yourself? It's very important, because I would like to see that this section is helpful for you as a human being too. And so you could go further with some ideas on how you could do yourself a better person. One minute. Thanks for those who write down in Zoom. That's also good. So time's up. It's time to summarize what we have here. What recommendations do we have? And it's interesting. We do not have any recommendations for society itself. That's the point we should think on. Maybe we are not ready to provide any ideas how the humanity should develop to the point to be. Maybe it's good to think of ourselves as a profession, but what's about humanity? What about the social country itself? Maybe you have some ideas. You should prepare them right now while I'm summarizing what we have here. So filter important information and information noise. That's good. Practice digital detox. Okay. Constant development. That's nice. That's really a lifelong learning idea. That's good. Travel. Talk with different people. Share opinions. That's very good point. Actually, for those who don't know for what they need to travel, I could provide my personal advice. A few years ago, I really thought that, wow, traveling somewhere, why do I need it? I could do a lot of things here. But when I understood that I need to understand cultures, differences in cultures, how people think, how people live, their history, that's why traveling could help you. So if you would like to understand people better, do a lot of traveling. Taking care of your mental health, that's good. Coaching sessions, right. It's very, very interesting instrument which could provide you better and more clear understanding of where are you moving further. Be more tolerant. Follow educational trends. I guess it's like constant development. It should be here, right? Contribute to academic freedom in universities through getting students involved and exposed to such issues. Okay. And get familiar with more instrumental educational technologies. That's good. So I guess as we're more like academic professionals, it's good for us. So educate top managers of feedback and lifelong learning, provide pleasure communication and feedback channels, work for independent educational values, adjust the work to different mentality models, actively reward art and creativity, culture of inspiration and encouragement. So that's interesting. As I understand, we are talking that we need more feedback, we need more interaction to actually discuss points which might be different from different perspectives and also provide inspiration for further development. And what about social? What actions we could do to make our society better, to help it get from maybe less ethical, less equal society to more like tolerant, with great opportunities, with education and so on? What key points should be mentioned here? Who would like to tell?
Well, I could try, yet it's actually very hard, to take on responsibility for the whole humanity, for the society itself. But I believe that in order to become more tolerant, we should provide an absolute free access to the information, the free way of expressing your ideas. So we should, let me put in simple words, we should prohibit censorship. So that's it.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see the free access to the information? Because there is a lot of different information. There is a lot of, contradictory information. And even providing free access might not solve this issue. How do you see it?
I mean, yes, there are definitely some dangerous information, some radical opinions and so on. But in order to bring so-called tolerance, to bring tolerance to the audiences, we should allow these audiences to see the different opinions, and they might not like it or like it, but at least they will have experience and they would know that there are many very contradictory opinions in the society.
So if I understand you clearly, you are talking about developing critical thinking, right?
Yes, which is impossible when you have no experience of like seeing other opinions. So yeah.
But what about children? Unfortunately, they haven't critical thinking, and it will be so dangerous to open all information for them and create this open environment.
Yeah, you're definitely right, because children are not able to think critically. Yet it is important to to maintain the balance between prohibiting the information and between giving them the free access to it. I think we should provide children with all information possible, yet constantly, like, how to put it in English, I forgot the word, giving them advice, okay? So taking care of their psychological health, but we should not like prohibit the information they gain from the social, from society. Yes.
It's difficult in this system, and always give them advice how they should learn and take information. I don't know.
So here is the biggest contradiction which humanity could not solve for ages. Because firstly, for example, Dan said that we need to provide free access to this information. But then when we talk about children, we need to maintain balance of information. So this sounds like censorship, doesn't it? So here is the key thing, that critical thinking is the element which helps people to understand and to formulate their own point of view, because we are all different. We all have different opinions on one fact. So the fact is like a fact, but we have different opinions. It was actually taught in Stoicism school of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marco Aurelius. So the fact is as it is, but we have different opinions. And developing critical thinking is the lifelong process. So maybe we need to provide, inspiration and conditions to develop that critical thinking. Maybe this is a key thing that we need to do, because otherwise we might not develop it as it is. What do you think about it? Any idea?
Everything I could add is yes, you're right.
Yes, you're right, because we should educate these habits to be tolerant and without information and without some accidents, it's impossible. Because risk is the key aspect of our development.
So actually in Zoom chat, we see that also Irina said that society has to accept its history without permanent revision aimed at adjusting to the political goals and objectives. And this is a very important point, actually, because people, when they try to go somewhere, they do as we have done today. They firstly analyze point A. We need to understand, where do we start? What is the core thing of us? And history is one of the core things. And only after understanding point A, we could formulate point B. Where do we want to be? Where should we go and where we want to go? And then we understand what we need to do. So this is a very clear framework for you, and I share it with you so you could formulate your ideas, your goals in your life, in your professional sphere. That firstly, you need to analyze point A. Where are you now? Then formulate goal. Where do you want to be? And better do it in a smart way. I mean, time bound, for example, by 2025, increase the level of, I don't know, critical thinking by 50%, right? So this is smart formula for the goal setting. And then, only then, you need to choose tools, how you could, and I think that the key thing for our topic of changes, changes which appear in digital sphere, in social sphere, is that we need to maintain and provide conditions for critical thinking development. So we develop ourselves as humans, and this is, in my point of view, the best technology we could develop, because this is the best thing we have, critical thinking, and this is actually our weak point, because if your critical thinking is not developed, you might make wrong decisions. Wrong decisions not in terms of something is good and bad, something is right and wrong. I mean, in your personal understanding, you might be misled, and this is very important to take into account. So, any other ideas from you? We have 9 minutes till end of session, and maybe you have some insights on what we have discussed today. Maybe you would like to share something. Maybe you have some ideas to tell. You are welcome. So, anybody want to summarize what we have discussed today? Maybe some feedback, something like this. Yeah, I see that Xenia is appreciating my moderator skills. Thanks a lot. But I think that that's our general, energy and our group work what made it so good. So, Paulina, I see you turn on your mic.
Yes, I agree with the message in our chat, and I would like to say thank you very much, all the participants, and thank you for your research. It was really interesting to hear all your ideas, and maybe it will be better if we have more time for our speech and for our presentations. But now I think we all are great, and it was useful. Thank you very much.
So actually, about time, that's a very important thing. As you are students, I might say the phrase "when you grow up." So when you grow up, you will have quite 10 seconds, 30 seconds, maximum 1 minute to share your key ideas. So try to be concise, try to understand what is key to tell the audience. And then you might develop your ideas when you get the interest from the audience. So just keep in mind and remember the golden rule, your presentation should be 7 minutes. On any topic, on any depth of your research, 7 minutes. That's the key time for you to be successful in your presentation. Sure. So today was your practice. I hope that you get that experience and you will make it better in the future. So any other ideas, any other insights from our today's discussion?
Sergey, will you probably say something about what would be, if you were asked, what would be your choice of the, or probably we will do it later on, what your choice would be of the, if you had to choose between these speakers and participants. In Student Gaidar, we have an opportunity, we practiced it in the past, that the best participants, the best speakers had some, for them, some sessions, mentoring sessions with the experts were organized. I think that all our participants are keen of it, you know, and they deserve it probably. So probably later on you will come with the results of probably your...
Yeah, if we talk about some kind of results, I think that
results
firstly,
or ranking or choice or whatever, selection of the best speakers.
Yeah, so firstly, I really appreciate all the presentations being made because it's very, you know, good of you to stick to the deadline, to provide information, to share your results. So everybody who has presented today, big thanks to you. We have chosen that Nikolai and Alexander with Arman made the best topic for today's maybe point. So they have option to choose between me and Emil in terms of 1 hour coaching session. And I guess that everybody who was turning on the mic today, I mean, Dan, Evelina, Nikolai, Polina, and maybe all students who have provided presentations, maybe it's a good idea to, how to say, make them all winners and provide a maybe group session with some kind of discussion on the topic which guys would like to choose. So I'm ready to provide that small conference or meeting to discuss key things, key ideas which they would like to. But if we need to take only one winner, so then I need to think about it. So Irina, do we have any instructions here?
What kind of instructions? I said that it was a brilliant proposal on your side.
Oh, I see in chat. Yeah, okay. So yeah, just I would ask organizers to write down names of the students who were presenting today and talking through the mic. I guess that were the same students. Unfortunately, some of participants didn't turn on the mic. Yeah, but we will make the discussion. I think it will be interesting. So thanks a lot for this interesting section. I hope you enjoyed it and you have a lot of ideas to implement in your life. From me, just be people, be human beings, and develop your critical thinking. See you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very, very much.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.